Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Are You In? Now, the time has come to talk about an album that I've been putting off for a little bit. I wanted to talk about this one with my brother, but he was like, I don't really want to talk about this one. So that lets you know that we're in for a treat when I'm talking about Machine Head's latest album entitled Catharsis. Now, Machine Head is a heavy metal band slash thrash metal band from Oakland, California. The members include Rob Flynn on lead vocals and guitar, Phil Demmel on guitar and backing vocals, Jarek McEachern on bass and backing vocals, and Dave McLean on drums and percussion. Their previous albums include Burn My Eyes in '94, The More Things Changed in '97, The Burning Red in '99, Supercharger in 2001, Through the Ashes of Empires in 2003, The Blackening in 2007, Unto the Locust in 2011, and Bloodstone and Diamonds in 2014. So I don't really know of much of their discography, though I do really like their last three albums. My brother and I got to go see them in, I want to say 2009, 2010, with Metallica, and it was an awesome show. I really liked it. I really like The Blackening. It's an incredible album. It's gotten wide acclaim in the metal field, even including, I believe, Metal Hammer named it the album of the decade for metal, which is a high honor, of course. Then Unto the Locust came out, and it's also very, very solid. I love the song Locusts, I Am Hell, so many good songs on there. And the crazy thing about it is it's only 7 or 8 songs, I believe. So like the previous those two albums tend to stay on longer songs and less of them. And then Bloodstones and Diamonds comes out, and there's 12 songs on there. So they're a little bit shorter, but they're also still very interesting. You have songs like The Night of Long Knives, Sail Into the Black, which are two completely different sounding songs that are right next to each other, and they work so well. I would say Sail Into the Black is my favorite song on the album because it builds, and it's so interesting throughout. So I really like all three of those albums. I was hugely excited to take a look into this album until I read something. And that little something is talking about their approach to this particular album. Rob Flynn discussed that this is his quote. I don't listen to a whole lot of metal. I'm being straight with you. To me, a lot of it doesn't interest me. A lot of the lyrics don't interest me. I listen to a lot of hip-hop. I grew up on a lot of hardcore, punk rock, hip-hop, and I just love or hate it. I love the fucking direct, ignorant-ass lyrics of hip-hop. It's very clear. It's very blunt. There are no metaphors. Metal's full of metaphors. We've been singing about the same shit now for 30 fucking years, and I get a little bored with it. And with this record, I really wanted to just strip it down and make it really clear, really simple, really blunt, especially my choruses. Just really clear. Like you know what the fuck I'm talking about, exactly when I'm talking about it. And it's cool. Like, real vulgar language and coarse language, and it's a good vibe, man. So, after reading that and listening to the album, what do I think? I'm just going to be blunt with it. It's not a great album. It isn't. It's a very disappointing album, to say in the least. And there's a couple reasons why for that. First off, it's 15 songs long. Most of them being about 4 to 5 minutes. I think the shortest song on the album is like 3 minutes and 55 seconds. So we're talking about a CD that's 74 minutes long, 15 tracks. So if you're going to do that, you have to make them all interesting. Or you're going to have another situation like Hydrograd from last year, where you might have had some interesting songs at the beginning, but and you might have some interesting songs at the end, but once you get to the middle of it, you might hit a road jam, and from there, even if there's good stuff at the end, it's going to be like, I just want to finish this CD, like, hurry up. And that's kind of what happens here. I will say some of the best songs on the album are the first 4 songs. You go straight away with Volatile, and it's talking about, from the get-go, it's talking about everything that's happening in this country right now in the Trump era, and it features mostly about the Charlottesville incident with the neo Nazis and everything. And just from the get go, it's like, okay, we're going to talk about this, and we're going to go in depth. And I really like that because not many metal musicians talk about that stuff, and there is an idea present that metal is more of a white European kind of music. So it doesn't always feel inclusionary. So it's nice for them to talk about this and talk about a very progressive, in a very progressive way. And I really, really like that. It just from the start, it's hitting hard, and it's hitting fast, and it's my favorite song on the album. It's not as long as some of their other stuff, but it just gets straight into the point really quickly. Same thing with Catharsis. Catharsis is a little bit longer, but it builds very well. It has some really interesting dynamics, and weirdly enough, like this and a couple other songs, the way that the vocals are recorded, it feels a little bit more like stuff on The Blackening, which is, over 10 years ago. So it's a little bit weird in sound, but in this one I don't mind it because of the building of the dynamics and everything like that. So I like this one as well, even though if it does overstay its welcome just a little bit. It's still one of the better ones. And then you get something like Beyond the Pale, which is something that feels a little bit more sludgy and a little bit more grungy. I don't know why, but like this kind of song reminds me a lot of When I Die, I believe it. Rain When I Die by Alice in Chains, where it's just it's kind of slow, it's a little bit grungy, and it just works very well with the guitar work and with the lyrics themselves, talking about how that whoever is this character feels comfort in the nonconformists, if you will, and it's kind of cool. And just another song that starts this album very well. And then we get into the crux of the album, where it goes all over the place. California Bleeding, still not a bad song, though it's more of a thrashy kind of sound, and it's just him talking about, it's kind of like a debaucherous look into California. Not horrible, but it just doesn't feel right. Like the best thing I could kind of like compare it to is Night of Long Knives, but less interesting and more poppy. So we're already starting to turn downhill, and then we hit Triple Beam. Now Triple Beam is a very rap metal, new metal kind of sound, where he's rapping, and it just comes out of nowhere. It's nowhere else on this album is there rapping. The music behind it is not interesting at all. It's an interesting story. It's talking about his life where he's dealing with drugs and how that affected him and affected his relationships and, almost killed him. And I appreciate that. The lyrics are bad. The music is bland. And it just is too long. It's just all around just too long. So we're already hitting some bad stuff, and like that's what it is. And like, unfortunately, after you get past the first 4 songs, you're hitting a lot of roadblocks. Kaleidoscope is all right. It's a thrash metal song that's kind of an anthem, being like fuck you and fighting back against the tyranny of the world. Bastards, an interesting song, but not. It doesn't fit here. It's another one of these like folky, kind of like a more of a Dropkick Murphy sound, which again, lyrics are great and are interesting, but doesn't feel right on this album. It's talking about Donald Trump America and trying to be inclusionary and making sure that everything is all right with the world and for his kids when he leaves. But again, it just feels weird, even if the sentiment is good. Hope Begets Hope, not really interesting. Screaming at the Sun, a metal chess game where he talks about taking pawns and taking kings and taking rooks and queens and everything. Not hugely interesting. Again, don't know why he's screaming at the sun in a metal chess game, but okay. Uh, it takes those 5 songs to get to a point where we're at something somewhat interesting again, which is Behind a Mask, and it's talking about depression, and it's talking about anxiety, and like taking it through a look of certain characters and their lives. And I really like the acoustic metal feel on this. I like the acoustic guitar solo, and just all of it is really nice. And it's some of the best recorded music on this album. Nice harmonies, everything like that. And then we hit Heavy Lies the Crown, another interesting one, the longest one on the album, about 9 minutes. It's telling the story of Louis the Ninth, who was the King of France from 1461 to 1483. It's talking about how he's the Spider King because he was known to lie and deceit to gain power throughout his reign. And it's a slow build, it's a very slow build, but if you can get past the first couple of minutes of it, it's a cool song with a lot of interesting sound changes, even if it shouldn't be as long as it is. And then again, we're getting to some meh songs. Psychotic, alright. It has a 7/4 part in the chorus. Not hugely interesting, but not bad. The lyrics are very descriptive about psychosis and being psychotic in general. Grind You Down, one of the worst songs on the album. Kind of is trying to do this mixture of Slipknot in terms of aggression in the chorus, and then blackening, clean vocals in the blackening. And again, this is one where it doesn't feel right that they're going for that type of quality in the lyrics and the harmonies and the melodies. Not interesting at all. I always skip it. Razor Blade Smile is another fun, fast-paced one, kind of like Volatile or like California Bleeding. It's another kind of shot at conservatives and billionaires. It's fun, and they know that it's fun. And then we get last song, Eulogy, which kind of another one of these slow build ones. Kind of like Sail Into the Black, though the music is a little bit more sparse. So it's a little bit different feel. And I really like the sound, except it does bring back the lyrics of Bastards. And this is where I feel like, hey, this is what Bastards should have been. I really like the idea of that. If they just took away the sound of Bastards, then this one would have been cool. And that's the hodgepodge of what this album is that there's too much going on and not enough direction. At one point, like we're talking, we have a rap metal song, and then all of a sudden we have more of a folk metal song, and then we have an acoustic metal song, and then we have a couple thrash metal, and then we have something that sounds like Slipknot, and then we have, a more slow-paced one, but it never feels like they mesh together. It feels like we're taking this one idea and then we're going to this next one, and there's no correlation in between. It's kind of like the same thing with Man of the Woods from Justin Timberlake's album. It's like, what does this album want to be? Because we talked about before how they were looking to do more of the rap metal and more of the punk, and okay, it's there, but it's intertwined with all these other things, and it doesn't help that it's 15 songs long. So by Heavy Lies the Crown, I'm basically done with this album. I don't want to listen to much more of it. I can only listen to this album in doses. And it's so sad because, a couple days ago I just listened again through all 3 of those other albums, and they're so much better because they use the time that they have so much more valuable. It's more valuable. There's more interesting things that are going on. A lot of the music on here is very forgettable. A lot of the lyrics are very forgettable. And in all honesty, I don't want to listen to this album again. I can't recommend it to anybody because of the length. Like, even if I was to take out a couple of these songs. If I was to take out Triple Beam, if I was to take out Hope Begets Hope, Screaming at the Sun, and Grind You Down, right? If we condense it to an 11-song album, yeah, that would make it under an hour, kind of like Bloodstone and Diamonds. But I still couldn't recommend this to anybody. It would be decent. There's enough decent songs on this album, but I can't say of one that would make the previous 3 albums. Some of the directions are weird. Again, like why are some of these songs? Why are some of the mixing so much more modern sounding and much better sounding than Blackening? And why are some of these have that Blackening feel? I don't get it. It baffles me a little bit, and I get where they're coming from. I understand that they've been doing the same thing for 30 years, and I do appreciate them trying to do something a little bit different. But even the bluntness, the music behind it has to be interesting. Or we're just going to have another punk album or another rap metal album, and it's not what they should be doing. I love them talking about politics. I love them talking about depression. I love them talking about interesting things. But the music behind it is not enough to give it a go. I can't recommend this to anybody. This is one of the most disappointing albums of 2018 so far. I don't know if it's more disappointing than Man of the Woods. It kind of is and it kind of isn't. I would still listen to some of these songs more than I would listen to anything from Man of the Woods. But I also am more disappointed in the fact that the last 3 albums were incredible, and this is what they came up with. And I'm curious to see where they go from here. I hope this is one little hiccup in on their road, because they're a really awesome metal band, and it's sad to see just this hodgepodge of nothing. So that's my time. I hope you enjoyed me talking about this. I've listened to this album 3 or 4 times now, and I have no more interest in listening to it. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to listen to music so that you don't have to. But if you do enjoy what I'm talking about, of course, a couple of things. Like this video, just so I know that you enjoy what I'm doing. Share with your friends. Comment on things I can do better or albums that you'd like me to review. Subscribe to my channel. That's honestly the biggest thing that you can do. It lets me know that you are interested in what I'm doing and want to see more of this. So please do that if you can. And, the last thing would be just to stay tuned on things I'm going to do in the future. This is coming out Monday. Unfortunately, I was not able to record this yesterday because of work and Mother's Day things. So it's going to come out today. And then I'll have a new album review for Wednesday. Kind of one that's along the same vein as the new Pornographers. But I won't let you know until Wednesday for that one. And then I'll have a new cover song Friday and another album review for 2018 on Sunday. Hopefully one that's better than this one. But until then, I will see you in the next video. Peace.